Last week, I gave Bill Maher credit for giving Democrats actually solid advice. He told them to stop running away from socialism. And this week, what little credit I gave him last week, I'm going to now have to take back because he attacked socialism in the latest episode of his show. Unbelievable. So during an overtime segment, him and a panelist he had on from the Washington Post named Catherine Rampell did the laziest, hackiest attack on Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill. She brought up the bill casually, attacked it, and did Bill Maher call her out for attacking it? Well, of course not. Why would he? He agreed with her. And there was also other progressive individuals there that I would have expected to call her out, and they sat idly by as she attacked this bill, and as Bill Maher attacked this bill. So this made me incredibly angry, so let's go ahead and watch it, and then I'll tell you what I found particularly aggravating when we come back.
Remember what Trump's health care plan was when he was running? Something terrific. That was, we're going to replace something that he dined on that for 6 months. And then he said, I'm going to give you health care that's better, cheaper, and covers everybody very quickly.
Is Trump your example? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
The difference is
he understood that that's what people want.
Exactly.
You're right.
And they vote for what they want.
That's the main thing.
I think
the difference is that once we say it, we're actually smart. We're not stupid. And we will actually work to try to get people those things. We'll fail at some of it, but at least the Democrats have got to start aspiring to something and having a spine to do it.
You're never going to win if one side plays by rules and the other side
I don't think that means you should give up on having serious ideas that can be executed.
I agree with that completely.
But they do have that. It's just getting into office to execute.
Well, and that's what Trump did.
The Democrats have no serious ideas?
When it comes to things like how Medicare for All would work, for example, if you look at Bernie's math, it made no sense.
I agree.
Right? It made no sense. And the idea
we're liberal arts majors. We don't know math. That's okay.
Some economists.
We get somebody.
All right. Let me get to a few other questions.
We'll get somebody.
So I think what made me especially angry was that you had two well-respected, prominent progressives on the panel, Michael Moore and Thom Hartmann, and they didn't push back at all. She did the laziest attack ever on Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill. She said, well, if you look at Bernie's math, it made no sense. And rather than just trying to push the envelope there a little bit further and see what she meant by that, Bill Maher just said, I agree. Now, first of all, I don't agree, or I don't believe, rather, that you agree with her, Bill, because nobody believes that you actually dived into the details and dissected Bernie Sanders' bill. You just agreed with her so you can appear neutral, and as one of those reasonable individuals that's willing to attack your own side. But that was bullshit. She needs to be pressured to explain specifically where the math doesn't make sense. Just saying the math doesn't make sense, that doesn't mean anything. That's lazy. Get her to explain her position. But nobody did. Thom Hartmann, who is a very well-respected progressive, said nothing. Michael Moore, what did he do? Well, he actually said we're liberal arts majors. We don't know math. Now, I get that he was joking and he was trying to be self-deprecating there and whatnot, but we do know math. And her response to Michael Moore after he said that was, find some economists. Right, we do have economists. Bernie Sanders is working with Stephanie Kelton, someone who is very well versed in modern monetary theory. I mean, I don't understand how so many progressives can hear someone say that Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All math doesn't make sense and just let her get away with that. In actuality, the math doesn't make sense when it comes to our current private-run system because we pay more than other countries in the developed world, and guess what? We get worse results. So the question is, why was there zero pushback? Why? Thom Hartmann supports Medicare for All. Why didn't you speak up, Tom? Michael Moore created a documentary that got me to be an ardent Medicare for All supporter. I mean, I was always in favor of single payer, but when I saw Michael Moore's documentary, Sicko, I kind of became radicalized in a way where not having Medicare for All was unacceptable and anyone who was against it was immoral. And the individual who did an entire fucking documentary on how broken our healthcare system is didn't even have a response. And I get that she just brought up Medicare for All casually, and they all kind of laughed it off and whatnot, but this is no laughing matter. People are literally dying and going bankrupt, and they're not going to the doctor because they don't have health insurance in this country. This is a very serious issue. So when people make very large claims like that, you have to force them to back it up with evidence. She's asserting a claim. Now you make her prove her claim. You don't get to just say the math doesn't make sense. Well, what about it doesn't make sense? What specifically makes no sense about it? What don't you like? You force people like this to prove their point, because had she gone just a little bit further, it would have been evident that she's full of shit. But since she said that, and since Bill agreed with her, the audience probably is like, oh, okay, I guess the math doesn't make sense. Maybe I shouldn't be in favor of Medicare for all. I mean, this is a liberal show, and they're attacking something that 70% of the country supports. Now, 51% of Republicans support Medicare for all. When we have all the momentum in the world, you're attacking it. And we have two progressives, Michael Moore and Tom Hartman, sitting there with their tails between their legs, not saying shit, as this propagandist attacks Medicare for all. Unfucking believable.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.